Greetings, Earthlings! Today I'm back with a review of a brand new microphone from Blue. Or is it Logitech? I don't even know anymore. So today we're looking at this guy, the brand new Blue Yeti Nano, and if you do want to pick this guy up, it will set you back around $100. Like always, I'll throw some links down below. And for the majority of this video, I have the microphone connected directly to my Mac with my input gain set at 15%. Not going to do any post-processing, but I will boost it in post, so check the doobly-doo to see what I did. Now let's talk about what comes in the box. You do obviously get the microphone, which has a desktop stand already installed. You get a 1/4 inch to 5/8 inch microphone stand adapter. You get a USB cable. You get some documentation, as well as a trial for XSplit and Overstream. So as far as the build quality of this microphone, there's nothing spectacular about it, but you really shouldn't be expecting that for $100. The body does feel pretty plasticky and cheap. It does have a metal mesh grill, and it is a bit on the light side. On the front of the microphone, you will find a single dial, which is the headphone volume control, and you can also press this button to mute the microphone. On the back of the microphone, you'll find the polar pattern selection switch to switch between cardioid or omnidirectional, and you can also hold this button for 2 seconds to turn on or off the zero latency monitoring. And then lastly, on the bottom of the microphone, you will find the USB port to connect it to your computer. You'll find the 3.5mm headphone port, which does offer zero latency monitoring as well as computer playback. And in the middle, you will find 1/4 inch threading to mount it to a tripod, or you can use the provided adapter to mount this to a standard microphone stand. Now, as far as the specs, this thing has a cardioid or omnidirectional polar pattern. It has a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz, a sensitivity of around -37 decibels, a bit depth of 16 or 24 bit, and a sampling rate of 32 to 48 kHz. Now I'm speaking into the Yeti Nano, moving around to 90 degrees to show you the off-axis rejection and coloration. We will continue around to 180 degrees to show you how it sounds from the rear. We will continue spinning the microphone around to the secondary 90-degree angle, and then we will continue spinning around and end at the front of the microphone. Okay, right now I'm speaking into the microphone on the cardioid polar pattern, and this is how the audio sounds. And now I've switched over to the omnidirectional polar pattern of the Blue Yeti Nano, and this is how the audio sounds. Now I'm typing on a keyboard with Cherry MX Blues to see how much of my voice versus how much of the keyboard it picks up. And now I've thrown the Yeti back in the provided desktop stand, and I am banging on a keyboard with Cherry MX Blues to show you why I don't recommend setting up the mic like this. Now I'm right on top of the microphone to show you the proximity effect. About 3 inches away from the microphone, 1 foot from the microphone, 2 feet from the microphone, and about 4 feet away from the microphone. Now let's go ahead and test the plosives. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Okay, now I have the Blue Yeti Nano connected directly to a Windows 10 PC. I've downloaded the Blue Sherpa software, and my input gain is set at 70% on the cardioid polar pattern, and this is how the audio is sounding. Okay, so now I have the Yeti Nano and the Blue Yeti level matched on my computer. I am currently speaking into the Blue Yeti Nano, and this is how it sounds. And now I am speaking into the Blue Yeti, and this is how the audio sounds. This is just so you can hear a comparison between the two microphones, and you can determine if you think this is worth the extra 30 bucks. Although my understanding, exact same capsules, they just took out the third capsule from the Yeti Nano, so you don't have stereo or bi-directional. Okay, so right now you can see that my microphone's gain is set at 15%. I'll drop this to 0 and slowly increase it so you can hear what kind of noise the Blue Yeti Nano's preamps make. %. 50%. 75%. And 100%. Okay, so right now I'm checking the latency for the Blue Yeti Nano when it's being recorded at 48 kilohertz. With an I/O buffer size of 64 samples, we have 9.5 milliseconds round trip, or 3.5 milliseconds output. Bump up to 128, we're at 12.5 milliseconds round trip, or 5 milliseconds output. And if we jump up to 256, 18 milliseconds round trip and 8 milliseconds output. Now let's see how this thing works for music. What are you waiting on, Blue? You need to make a USB dynamic mic. Okay, so right now we got the new Blue Sherpa software pulled up for the Yeti Nano. We've upgraded the firmware of the microphone, and now we'll just do a brief walkthrough of this software. So the first thing you will find is the format of the recording, and that allows you to change between 24-bit 48 kilohertz all the way down to 32 kilohertz. For the sake of this test, we're just going to continue recording at 24-bit 48K. Then next, you'll find the microphone gain, which is pretty self-explanatory. This allows you to adjust the gain of the microphone within the software. Very straightforward. Then you have the polar pattern selection switch, which allows you to switch between Cardioid, which is what we're currently using, or we can switch to Omni-directional, which I just switched to, and you can tell there's quite a different sound to it. And then finally, you'll find the playback settings, which controls what you're hearing in the headphones coming out of the Blue Yeti Nano. So what the playback level slider does is adjusts the amount of your computer's playback that you're hearing in your headphones, and you can also just go ahead and hit the mute button to completely mute your computer's playback. And then if you do want to turn off the direct monitoring or zero latency monitoring, all you have to do is hold the polar pattern selection switch on the rear of the microphone for 2 seconds and it will turn it off or on. And that's actually it for the Blue Sherpa software. It's pretty straightforward and very easy to use. So I know I'm going to get flack from the audiophiles out there, but I actually think this microphone's pretty good. So in terms of pros, this thing can record in up to 24-bit 48 kilohertz, which is excellent to see. It also offers zero latency monitoring, and in the software, it allows you to adjust your computer's playback audio level so you can mix between the zero latency monitoring and your computer's audio. But then in terms of cons, the preamp on this microphone is pretty noisy. It is also somewhat sibilant. It picks up quite a bit of ambient noise, and to be quite blunt, the 1/4-inch threading is just goofy to me. I still don't understand why we're seeing an increasing number of microphone companies throw a tripod threading on the bottom of their microphones. It makes no sense. So as far as my overall thoughts on the electric guitar, the slightly recessed midsection gives it an almost scooped sound, so I'm not the biggest fan of it there, but if you're just using this microphone for demos or doing YouTube covers, I think it would be perfectly fine. Then the outcome for the acoustic guitar is the exact same story. I think the recessed midsection is really a detriment to that instrument. It kind of removes a little bit of the body and just overfocuses on the lows and the highs, so I'm not a fan of it for that use case. Then for singing, that's where the midsection really becomes apparent, because when I was playing the acoustic guitar and singing, the vocals almost got lost in that mix. So if you're trying to make your vocals pop or sit on top of a mix in your recording, I don't think this is going to work for you at all. But then for spoken word, I actually think this microphone offers a very clean and crisp sound, and that cut to the mids that I've been complaining about so much actually removes a bit of nasally tone, which will appeal to a lot of people. So for spoken word, I do actually think it will work for some people. But now, would I recommend the Blue Yeti Nano? I'll start by saying this. If you are planning on picking up the Blue Yeti for solo spoken word, don't. Go ahead and just go with the Blue Yeti Nano, because there's no reason to pay the extra money for a bunch of capsules and polar patterns that you probably shouldn't be using. But then on the other hand, if you were deliberating between these two microphones for either music or ASMR, I would still direct you to the original Blue Yeti, because this is still one of the cheapest ways to get a decent sounding stereo microphone set, and for music at least, I would also prefer the more present mids of the original Yeti. And then finally, if you were looking at either of these microphones for podcasting or recording in an environment with a lot of ambient noise, I'd suggest you look at a USB dynamic microphone like the Samson Q2U, the Audio-Technica ATR 2100 USB, or the AT2005 USB, because those will ultimately serve you better, and they are all XLR and USB, so all three of those microphones would allow you room to grow as your needs expand. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for today. If you found this video fun, interesting, or helpful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, thumbs down. You want more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button. If you want to influence the gear that I review next, head over to geeksrising.com/podcastage. Go cast a vote there. Want to hang out in the Discord server? I'll throw a link in the description, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and bye!